Okay, so here we go. Here's the first one. I think you're really going to like the first speaker because he's really sharp, really handsome, and it's me. Okay, thank you so much. All right, I've been blessed enough to have been coaching sports, coaching college rowing for more than 30 years. And during those 30 years, I've been really fortunate to work with some good coaches. Coaches that do it for the right reasons. Coaches that do it really well. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of those coaches fail. A lot of those coaches crash and burn. I'd like to talk to you today about that, about the 7 reasons why good coaches fail. Before we begin, I'm going to drop the F-bomb. Unlike some coaches in our profession, my F-bomb's a little bit different. I drop that F-bomb so that you will think. In this case, it's the word failure. When we say a coach fails, usually as an administrator, and I'm in charge of the professional development for our great coaching staff here, when we think of failure, we think of win-loss record. And I'd like to take that off the board. Win-loss record is important. It is part of what we do regardless of the level of coaching. But there's so much more to coaching than winning and losing. And when I talk about failure here, what I'm talking about is a coach who's doing it for the right reasons, it doesn't work out. They struggle, they strain, they get out of the profession much too early. Here's my definition of failure, and that's when you set out on a journey and you do not meet your intended objective. Anybody know what item? It's the Concordia. That's a satellite view of the Concordia. And here we have, what's interesting about this failure is that almost 100 years ago today, actually it's in April, the Titanic sank. The Titanic was smaller than that boat. The Titanic was a huge tragedy. There were 2,200 people on the Titanic. Of those 2,200, over 1,500 died. There were 4,100 and plus on the Concordia. And granted, it was different. It wasn't in the North Atlantic and such. But when the Concordia sank, I guess you could call that a sinking, capsized, about, I think right now the current is 29 to 30 people. Some are still missing, but I think that's the roundabout of how many have lost their lives. That's a tragedy of a huge toll. However, if you look at more people were on that boat, twice as many people were on that boat than the Titanic, and yet a very small percentage lost their lives compared to the Titanic. So when we have a failure, we have an obligation to look at that and learn. So when we have coaches that do crash and burn, that do fail, one of the things that we can do is we can look at them and we can learn. I teach a class here, a college class, on mistakes and failure. And as I said, I work with our coaching staff here. Great bunch of coaches. You'll see some of them today. And I've come up with 7 reasons why good coaches fail. And I would say, you're all good coaches. One of the reasons why I would say that, I know some of you, this is the first time we've met, but one of the reasons I'm saying that is you're here now. A sign of a good coach is someone who will go out at their own expense and become better. Here are the 7 reasons. First one I call POW. The second one, sell, we, me, rules, boss, dark force, and bright spotlight. The sell is one of the huge parts of our job is we're in marketing. We are salespeople. We sell all across the board. We sell to our kids, we sell to our bosses, we sell to our family, we sell all around. Coaches fail when they can't sell. We is that relationships are a huge part of what we do. Coaches fail because they don't grab that or they don't do it well. Me, coaching is a drain. My doctoral dissertation was on the effect of coaching on rowing coaches. And I can stand here and say that you get significantly affected by what you do for your living, just as a police officer, a nurse, a teacher would do also, anybody in the human service profession. Next we have rules. There's a whole lot of rules. Good coaches fail because they don't follow the rules or they don't change the ones that need to be changed. Boss, I am here for one main reason, is to make my boss look good. he is here for one main reason, to make his boss look good. And a lot of time coaches don't grab that. A lot of time they have that butting of the heads with their boss. Last one down here, the dark forest and the bright spotlight. And to me, that is the joy of losing and the agony of winning. I didn't say that backwards. I meant exactly what I said. But I'm going to focus on only one today because there's only 12 minutes and 55 seconds left. Yes, every speaker looks at that clock all the time. And this is POW. POW is the power of why. I don't know here if anybody here has had a chance to see Simon Sinek's book. He wrote a book just a little while ago called Start With Why. It's a really neat book, and it's on, there's a TED Talks that he did. And it's a powerful book, and it goes to address one of the things I think is the main reason why coaches fail, is the word why. He promotes this golden circle. And in the middle of the golden circle is this word why. On the outside is the word how. On the very outside is the word what. And what he says, and I won't put words in his mouth, but the way I understand it is that the why is the most important thing. The how is pretty important, and the what is just on the outside. Let me give you a reference here. As you look around, you'll see a lot of Apple products. We are an Apple school. There's a lot of Apple fanboys here. I'm not saying that Apple is the best product. I'm an Apple freak of nature. I love Apple. I would be the guy that would stand out there 16 hours for an iPhone, or if I come back the next day, it could just waltz right in and get it. I'm one of those people. I love Apple. Here's the reason why. Because I know the why of Apple is counterculture. The why of Apple is think different. They were the ones who really started the whole Super Bowl commercial thing. They came out in 1984 with that commercial. I mean, the Super Bowl about 1984. Some of you may know it. So when they make a product, I'm excited about it because I'm thinking it helps me think differently. The how is they make these pretty good things. Now, I'm not saying that an iPhone is better than a Droid, but for me it is because I attach it to the why. And then on the very outside is what? Well, it's a smartphone. Well, if you take that backwards, look at Dell Computer, and this is what Simon says, the Dell Computer. Dell Computer, if they made a phone, a smartphone, would you run out and buy a Dell smartphone? Well, one of the whys of Dell, I would say, I don't know, I've never talked to anybody in the Dell corporation, but I think one of their whys is to make money. And that doesn't get me excited. Okay. So that's his golden circle. Interestingly enough, he put a pyramid in there. I turned it upside down, and this is why I did that. It's because his why is huge, and you can see the how and the what. And I put the why at the bottom because if you don't know the why, the pyramid collapses. And that happens a lot with good coaches. When good coaches don't know why, they fail. Or if their why gets fuzzy. And here's why. People don't buy what you do. People don't buy how you do it. People buy why. And I'll be the first to stand up here and say, it took me quite a while to figure out my why. When I first started coaching, I had just finished rowing at Florida Tech, and I remember the last stroke of my last race, the words came to my head. Now what? All those years of training, and it was like, now what do I do? Oh, I'm not done competing. I'm going to coach. So I went into coaching because I wasn't done competing. That's not my why now. My why, and I'll stand up here and say it, and I do to my kids, and I say it to the people on the team, and I say it to the kids in my class, is that I do what I do to help people see their world through a different lens. I do what I do to help them develop skills they need to be successful in life. And that's not meant to be conceited, like I know things that nobody else does. I just try to help them get there. That's my why. So let me ask you. Here's 3 really important questions. And this is, I organized this schedule, and I came up with the order of the list, and I thought, I want to go first. And here's why I wanted to go first, is because I think this is one thing you can walk away with right now, the answer to these next few questions, that will totally impact your coaching. So much so, if you know the answer to these questions now, every speaker that gets up here in front of you and says what they're going to say, you will find something in there that will really help you. So here's question 1. Why do you coach? And I guarantee a lot of you say, yeah, okay, I coach, yeah, I like to win, yeah, I like to see kids in shape, yeah. You know what? That's fuzzy. When you don't know your why or gets fuzzy, you fail. And we're going to talk about that in the remaining time. Piece of paper, pencil. Everybody's got one. Yes, yes? Okay, and if you don't, steal one from your neighbor, or borrow, or beg. Because write down, I want you to write down your why. Here's 3 things that might help you. Look backwards. Look backwards at what you have been doing that you absolutely love to do in terms of the realm of rowing or coaching. What do you love to do about that? Number 2, what are you good at in the terms of rowing or coaching? Is there something you excel at that you're really comfortable and good at doing? Competent was the word I was struggling at. Doing. And then the last one is what you want to be as a kid. Okay, where's our clock? Could you just give it a wiggle, and I think she'll pop up. And you have 1 minute, 6 minutes and 24 seconds, go. And some of you, I'm going to ask to have you share on a worldwide stage, why do you coach? Go. Spelling counts. Okay, here we go. Anybody here would like to share? Anybody here that is willing to throw themselves out here and say, this is why I coach? Who would like to volunteer? I'm not going to pick you out and say, yes, James, why? Okay, those are the answers to here, right? Why do you coach? Put all those together. Yeah. Okay, great. Somebody over here raised your hand. What's your name, please? Hi, Maggie. Where are you from? Laura Marion. Why do you coach, Maggie?
I coach because I love to teach 13, 14, and 15-year-old kids on sports.
You love to coach 13, 14, 15-year-old kids in a sport that you're obsessed with. Cool. Okay. So that'll give you a little bit of inkling about you. That's an important part of why. Even more important, why does your program have rowing? Why does your program have rowing? And here's why you need to do that. If in your mind, your why is, Maggie, may I borrow yours? If your why is to teach 13, 14, and 15-year-olds about a sport that you love, and yet your high school program's why is because we just want these kids off campus, you do something to engage them and just get them out of our hair, then chances are your why and the school's why are going to butt heads. Okay? And here's an even more important one. Oh, okay, wait a minute. It used to be that organizations found athletes for their coaches. You'd have a great coach at the program and you go out and find people. Now it's different. Now a school and organization will find coaches for their athletes. It's a subtle but a profound difference. Here's the real big one. Why do your athletes row? If you're up on stage, you're standing up here and you said, we are going to beat big time you. We are going to make them cry. We're going to take their shirts and we're going to rub them in the mud. This is going to be the best year ever. And your kids are saying, I just want to be outside. I love the sunrise. And I absolutely love the sunset. It's not going to work. There's a recipe there for failure. People don't buy what you do, they buy why. You influence someone's behavior 2 ways. You can either manipulate it or you can inspire them. Why inspires people? Who's going to perform better the last 500 meters when they're under duress and there's a little person over here in this boat screaming at him, and there's a little person over here screaming at him? Who's going to perform better? The person that's been manipulated or the person that's been inspired? Why inspires people? People want to row for why, not a what, especially when push comes to shove. Those are the three whys that you need to know. And some of you, and Maggie, I would say, especially the younger folks, you're probably don't feel empowered to ask an organization, well, why do we have rowing? A lot of it's marketing, it's sales, it's whatever, but why? You may not want to ask, but these are important questions, especially as you stay in coaching, that you need to know. So what do you do now? You leave here, what do you do? Well, I'm done in 2 minutes and 22 seconds. What do? You refine your why. 30 years, I think I finally got it. Taken a while? Yeah. A lot of growth in between. But it's important stuff. I can't tell you how important knowing why you coach is, especially when you can tell someone, this is why we're doing this. We're not rowing out today in the Whitecaps, in the thunderstorm, and this is why. Because I'm trying to teach you the skills you need to be successful in life and not trying to turn you into a terrible disaster. Okay, then take your why and move on to the how. Today you're going to hear a lot about how. You're going to have coaches stand up here and say, well, this is how you do things. Chris Korsnowski is going to come in here and tell you, this is how you do things. Casey Baker, B.B. Bryant, Tessa. A lot of people will come in and tell you how. Find your why and attach your how. One more review. Sell, we, me, rules, boss, dark forest and bright spotlight. And I expect more material from me on these, but the big one right now is power of why. Thank you. Okay, we'll just go with that. 1 minute. Does anybody have a follow-up question or statement about that topic? Yes, sir. What's your name, please?
Matt.
Hi, Matt.
I would just like to point out that as people grow, their whys may change. You yourself said that when you were just out of college, you had a different why. So it's something to keep in mind. The reason you're doing what you're doing now might not be the same in 10 years.
That's a great one. And I would say one of the whys coaches probably don't want to grab hold of is to make a lot of money. That not too big in rowing. Right, great. Another question. Yes, ma'am.
So you said try to find out why you coach and then why your programs have been inspired. Is it very different to change yours than theirs, or try to change theirs?
Boy, that's a great question. That's a great question. Okay, so the question is, what if the three whys are different? Okay, so I think the two choices there, somebody's got to change. When the whys aren't all on the same page, there will be failure. Okay, you take a Concordia that's going down with 4,100 people that want to have a great trip, that's their why, and you have someone who steers into a dangerous area, they have a different why than giving everybody a safe, fun trip. Boom. So that's a great question. Sorry, I'm not trying to cop out on you, but okay, I'm done. Give us 4 or 5 minutes, we'll have the next speaker.